Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the Living It Out podcast, a weekly podcast to remind you that you matter and to help you live out that truth throughout the week. My name is Casey. I am your host here alongside of Marna Ward, and our special guest today is Andy Rectenwald, our campus pastor from the Oregon campus.
First time.
Yeah. I'm so excited to have you on here with us today, Andy.
Yes.
Andy is a good friend of mine, I guess you're still like a mentor. I almost said former mentor.
That's got real sweet.
I know, man. I really am. I'm glad that you're
Hey,
here.
why don't I sit there?
No, it's okay. We need to stay between us. But Andy, really are glad that you're here today.
Yeah.
This past weekend, we had a really fun weekend, which is why you're here. We had the preach off. We'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
But the Super Bowl was this weekend.
Yes.
And so I would love to hear from you guys. Did you watch it? Did you enjoy it? Did you watch the commercials? Favorite parts?
I
Highlights?
watched the whole game, you guys.
Good for you, Marna.
I know.
Did you enjoy it?
I did.
Way to go.
I did enjoy it. Look at you.
I know.
I watched commercials. I watched the game. I mean, my kids are older now, so I'm not.
Did they watch it with you?
Yeah, we all
Nice.
watched it as a
fun.
family
That's
and
super
hung
fun.
out, and it was fun.
You guys get like a pizza or something?
I actually cooked
Oh,
because.
wow.
What'd you make?
Okay, so
a
I
good
have
question.
this recipe for this Mexican rice bowl that is super good. So we had chips and salsa, and we had a Mexican rice bowl, and we had candy because it was the Super Bowl. That's what Eric was like claiming, that it was like special, and they should just be able to eat as much candy as they want.
I like that.
was like,
That's how I feel
holiday.
too.
well, yeah, I was like, is
Do you know
this
what's
a holiday?
That's
What's
interesting.
happening?
And Marna, I know I say this to you, but you're definitely more of a rule follower.
I am.
So you're
Casey
more.
likes to point this
I
out.
like to tell you that sometimes. I think I've told you that twice in this podcast
Yeah,
before.
yeah.
But I'm sure that was hard for you.
It was.
Good for
They
you
were like
though.
eating their Whoppers and their red licorice and
Good for
like
them. I love
cookies
it.
and cream Hershey's.
Candy.
I was like,
Get
what?
those cavities.
Yeah,
Love it.
absolutely.
Well, you watched the game. I watched it as well.
I watched the game.
I had fun. Andy, I'm sure you watched the game too, right?
Yeah, it was on. It was on the entire time I was in the room.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I saw a couple plays. But yeah, it was on, and there's a couple
Yeah.
times where the 49ers were ahead, and then they weren't, and that's how the game ended. I'm pretty sure. So
You got it, man. The Kansas City Chiefs are the winners.
In a nutshell.
Yeah, that's
right?
basically it. Basically, well, good. I'm glad you got a chance to watch it. I know we have some pretty big Chiefs fans. Hootie, Steve Hutmacher, who
Yes.
is a former elder and
From Missouri.
part of our church from Missouri.
Yep.
Big.
And
his
there's a
whole
lot of
family.
other Chiefs fans that
Big
just
Chiefs
happened
fan.
this year. They just started.
Yeah,
jumping on the
yeah,
Chiefs
they're all
bandwagon.
on the Mahomes.
Now they're Super Bowl champions, so that's great. Just like Cubs fans back in the World Series in 2016. Not that I'm holding a grudge
Yeah.
or anything.
Yeah.
You know a couple Cubs
Don't bring
fans, don't
that
you?
up.
No, a lot of Cubs fans now.
Yeah.
They weren't Cubs fans before.
Do you want to name drop them?
No.
No. Okay. Just giving you the chance.
Yeah,
Just giving you a
yeah.
chance.
Good.
Well, cool. It was a great Super Bowl. It really was a good game. It was fun to watch.
It was.
And I hope you got a chance to celebrate wherever you're listening with your friends and family. It's a cool opportunity to get
And
together.
commercials.
Yeah, commercials were great too. Yeah, favorite commercials.
were really good. So I loved the Groundhog Day reenactment
Great.
with the Jeep.
Bill
and I
Murray.
saw
Yeah,
that.
that was great.
And
Jeep
the
truck
ending where he's
quality.
holding the groundhog in the baby hole.
I feel like we have to like the Jeep commercials just because we live in
Oh.
Northwest Ohio.
Oh, I didn't even. Yeah.
Yeah, that's like part of it is we have to say that's our favorite.
That was. That
Wasn't
was
my
really
favorite one, but it's a good one.
Well, if you watch Groundhog Day, the movie, it was a great commercial.
It
That's
was
true.
a great
It's
commercial,
true.
which is probably showing my age.
Yeah,
but,
that's
yeah.
all right. I've seen the movie. It's good. Bill
Okay,
Murray, he's
how about
great.
you?
I really liked the Bud Light commercial. I thought it was really
Whoa.
funny.
We'll censor that one
Yeah.
out
Not only am I talking about beer, I'm talking about bad beer.
later. Like a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why we would bleep
Yeah,
it out.
right,
It's
right.
not for.
No, it was good. It was a Post Malone commercial, and it like went to his brain because he was deciding whether or not to like get this beer or a
Yeah.
different beer.
Was that the one with everybody had tattoos on their face?
Yeah,
All the
yeah. If
face
you don't know who
tats.
Post Malone is, he's a hip hop artist, rapper who has
With
a
a lot
bunch
of tattoos on his face.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when you hear his music, you're like,
It's
that guy.
kind of poppy.
It's catchy.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
like
I've ever heard a song.
I'll
by
play
it.
one for you later. You've heard it
You've
before.
heard Circles.
The Spider-Man song. No, I'm gonna sing. All right, I'll stop
Only
singing.
we could- okay.
We'll
I know
show you later.
Spider-
Anyway,
Alright.
Post Malone, funny
Post
commercial. It was
this.
good. I enjoyed it. It was entertaining. But either way, it was a fun Sunday. I love the Super Bowl because it's just one of those events that I feel like even when people don't love football, they still get around and just have some fun.
It's a
with some things.
special
people
holiday, you guys.
It does.
You eat all the
Candy,
candy
you
you
don't have to go
want.
to sleep.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You can
Don't
do
go to
whatever.
work the next
No
day.
bedtime. No bedtime.
Oh, there was a commercial about like Super Sick Monday or.
Oh
like,
yeah,
you know,
I had friends that were posting on social media saying, "Just another year taking off Monday after the Super Bowl."
Yeah, there was a whole.
I was like, "You're a
commercial
Browns
about
fan.
I didn't
Why
see
do
that
you?
one.
Why'd you?
A Browns fan?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
I never get to watch the
I
Super
know,
Bowl.
you're not gonna watch it anyway. Man, well, here we did not have a Super Bowl. We had a little bit of a Super Bowl of our own. We had the preach off this weekend, which is a lot of fun. Second year doing this. Andy, you were a part of Team Jandy. You
Yes.
and Josh Whitlow, our Perrysburg
winners.
campus pastor. I would encourage you right now, if you didn't get a chance, go back, watch one of there were 4 services. They were all really entertaining, really fun.
Forget
And
them
so,
were entertaining.
We'll talk about that in a second, Andy. Andy underperformed at the last service, but that's okay. We had a lot of fun. I did. I'm
took
throwing
a
him under
knee.
the bus. You took a knee.
You did.
Unintentionally,
Yeah.
but I did take a knee. It was rough.
It was a lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
And I guess
Yeah.
for those of you that got to watch, you obviously saw we threw up a verse and then gave these guys, Ben and Barb and Josh and Andy, 5 minutes to complete a message,
Yeah.
also to insert 5 random words, have a catchy bottom line, give a fun story, and a practical next step, which is hard. A lot of improv, right?
That
So,
is a lot of
Andy, how did that feel? Why'd you say yes? And
Yeah.
what was your experience?
So I did it last year.
You did.
And I was a little bit apprehensive about doing it, but it was Josh Whitlow, my teammate. He likes to think he's the captain of the team, but up until
He mostly
up
does.
until the 12:30, I was the MVP.
He thinks
and
he's
then
the
the 12:30 happened, and he wished he had a different partner. But he said to me last year, he said, "Hey, how many times have you had somebody ask you about passage?" And you have to come like on the fly. You have to
Yeah.
kind of walk them through what it means or whatever.
Like,
I
Andy,
do it
what's
all the time.
James 1:7?
Yeah,
man?
not like that.
Right.
It's like, here's the passage. You don't have the whole Bible memorized? No. So
You're a pastor.
they've done it several times, and so I'm like, yeah, I do that all the time. So I guess the preach-off wouldn't be that different. Well, I was wrong. It was definitely a lot different. A lot harder because you get judged. Like,
Right.
Yeah.
so last year was fun. This year was a lot of fun. The format changed a little bit, but yeah, you have a minute and a half. I think is how much they give us. If the screen
To
works
prep.
properly and you get to prep a message.
Yeah.
And so the funny part for me is people that ask you like, so you guys didn't know anything ahead of time? I'm like, no, we're lying to you. We got up there, we knew it all ahead of time. We're just telling you we didn't know. No, we didn't know anything.
we
So
didn't.
last year we at least knew that the verse we were going to get was going to fit within a box that I was going to get verses that had to do with finding freedom.
Yeah.
So I could at least kind of,
That's right, because the verse is aligned with the spiritual journey principles.
Yeah. But this year, no, it
Yeah.
didn't happen. In fact, if
Yeah.
if you watch it, you could tell we were all over the map.
Yeah.
So yeah, you sit down on the bench and you get your verse and you look at I'm looking at Josh going like, okay, so can you look at some bottom lines maybe help me come up with one, and I'm thinking of stories from my past and try to put those together.
Yeah.
Then you got to think about what's the next step. How am I going to clearly communicate
And
this?
all of this
then-
within a minute and 30 seconds.
Yes, and then you get up there, and then it's like boom, buzzwords or buzz phrases, and it's like you have to know things like Sam Sourdough. I don't know who that is. Josh
we do
got
now,
that
though.
one.
We do
It
now.
was the 49ers mascot. How the heck am I supposed to know
Oh,
that?
I wouldn't have known that.
Yeah.
No.
So it was amazing. It was a lot of fun. I think getting to tell the story. If you didn't see the ostrich story, I've been holding on to that story
That's a good
for
story.
a very long time.
What service?
Finally
The
got to use
10:45?
it. It was a 10:45 service.
that was a good
so
one.
I should have just told that one again at the 12:30.
Yeah, right.
But
It didn't
I didn't
matter
do
to
that.
me.
No, I didn't do that.
Oh, had to get creative,
I
didn't
did
you?
something different. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go into the server and delete the 12:30
Yeah.
service and pretend like it never happened.
Awesome. And from Marna, from someone who's a part of our team, but also sitting and experiencing it,
Right.
what's it like to experience that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you almost feel nervous for you guys.
Totally. No one wants to
it
be you
is-
up on that
no.
stage. Yeah.
So that's why even though the 12:30 didn't go as you would have hoped,
Yeah.
Which
I
we'll
think-
talk more about in a second.
That's a very nice way to
No,
put
I mean,
that.
But
Thank you.
I think there is a part of you that's like, it's not as easy as you guys make it look, and some of those things. So for me as a spectator, maybe this is because I'm on the team, I'm like super nervous for you guys.
Yep.
Like I get
I
super
think everybody
worked
is
up.
though. As I talked to people this weekend
Okay.
too, that were like,
That's
I'm
just
sitting in the crowd.
that's just the
I'm so
experience.
nervous for
I'm
them.
so nervous. Like, what if they suddenly?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Pull a 12:30.
Yeah. If they don't know what to say, like Andy did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Take
So I think but it's also, I think what has been, I don't know, it felt a little new to me this year. I think especially because we were in charge of the voting. So then you
Yeah.
felt kind of
That was fun.
responsible. Like you had to really pay attention this
Yeah,
year because you're
yeah.
like, well, was that a good bottom line? Or
Which is kind of weird, right? You're like judging the sermon,
Right,
which we
like,
all do internally anyway.
yeah,
but now you get to
yeah.
actually put it on a piece of paper, right?
I
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
but
That's awesome.
I think the ability for those messages to still strike a chord with us
Totally.
in 5
Yeah.
minutes or less.
Totally.
I think it really goes to show you just how much this podcast too, but we use so many words to fill space.
Yeah.
And yet in 5 minutes, really all of you would have something that would make me go, okay,
It's good.
okay.
Yeah, there's something to
So,
take from it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
All right, so Andy, we've mentioned this. It feels like an inside joke now. The 12:30, man.
I was hoping it was just going to be an inside joke.
No,
Yeah.
the listeners are wondering what happened.
Yeah, if you were
Well,
there.
first of all, what happened at 5:15, 9, and 10:45?
Everything went great. The
Crushed it.
5:15, 9,
Yeah.
10:45. I felt like
Dude, you were the first. You had the number one votes every service.
this is like
Besides
this is
the
what I
12:30.
like to do. I don't
do
have any
great.
fears about getting in front of people,
Yeah.
make an idiot of myself.
Yeah. Andy has been doing
stories.
improv with me since I've been 15 years old.
Yeah.
You picked me up once. We used your iPhone 4S and made a student ministries promo
That's
video
true. It was great.
with a piece of furniture on the side of the room.
Yeah, we found somebody's trash and made a video with it.
It was great. But you're great at that.
That's what
you
I
are.
like to
You
do.
do a good
It's
job
fun.
of it. Yeah,
I
it
don't
is
have
fun.
a lot of gifts. That's one of them.
Yeah.
So it went well. 5:15. And there's a little bit of when you first start, when you're getting your verse, like okay, the heart's racing a little bit.
Yeah, a little adrenaline.
5:15, heart's racing 9, and everything's going great. Everybody's doing really well. Ben had a couple. I'll say this. Ben went over on time one time.
He did.
You know, like
He did.
I did hear about that.
But
I didn't
still-
I
see
made
it.
a funny comment and
even with
fired
all
me.
of that, like, it's still the messages were good. It was like, okay, well then, and I was getting a lot of play with the audience, like laughter and
yeah,
stuff.
it
And
was
that
great.
always makes you feel good. You know?
Totally.
Then the 12:30 started, and Luke Shortridge and Lauren Snyder up in the booth, and I don't know who decides the verses or whatever. But the first verse I get is Galatians 6:11, and it says, you know, depending on the version, see what large letters I use as I write to you in my own hand. And I look at Josh, and Josh goes, okay, we are destroying that. We've won the 5:15, the 9, the 10:45. So this is
He was
they're
coach.
trying to
Like,
challenge us,
yeah.
like. And I was like, okay, all right, so let's. And I had it planned. I had short jokes that I was going to use, because see what large letters I use, and I knew that Paul was he was going blind, and so that's why he was writing big. And I looked at the context before and after. I was more prepared for this verse than the whole weekend than any other verse, because I was like, okay, they're trying to get me.
The joke.
I'm gonna get that.
Right.
So then I kind of like sit there, I'm ready to go, and then all of a sudden I have my story picked out, and all of a sudden it's like, actually we're just kidding. Here's the actual verse. And in
You've
my
got
head,
30
I'm like,
seconds.
Dang it! Now they said they were gonna reset the clock. The clock that we can see did not reset
No,
at first.
the countdown timer
so
didn't know.
I look at my watch, and I have a smartwatch, and it tells me my heart rate's over 120 BPM, and I'm like, oh no.
Oh no.
Okay, so
Starting to get panicky here.
yeah, so then I get up, I have stuff picked out, I look at Josh, and he's like, tell your next step is to have them read the Living It Out. I'm like, okay, I can do that. Bottom line, and then I couldn't remember the bottom line, so I get up there, I start talking, and then I just feel like if you've, studied for a test or you're writing a paper and you just can't, there's like a block that happens, and you can't, there's nothing that you could do. So, like, you would typically say, go for a walk. Well, I couldn't go for a walk. I'm in front of thousands of people, and I just gotta get it out. So I'm sitting there, J-Lo popped on the screen. I know who J-Lo is, and in my head I'm like, what is J-Lo? What is that? And I look over at the referee, Jared Calver, and I'm like, don't ding it yet. I need to think of J-Lo was in that movie Gigli. Why was that the one I thought of? Why was that my reference? I've never seen that stupid movie.
Because what you started to do
anybody has seen
is you
that
just started
movie.
saying the words and then telling what they were.
Yes, there was no connection. And then I can't remember, a lot of probably trauma. I probably don't have any recollection.
Yeah.
So then at the end I just go, make sure you read the Living It Out. And I walked over and Josh was like, dude. And I was like, I'm so sorry.
Dude, it's always those dude.
Yeah, you gotta come back.
It was pretty fun. It was a lot of fun. Even though you didn't do that great at 12:30, it was still. I think people were still like, "Wow, you still made something out of that," which was really good. And all of you guys really did a really good job. It was a lot of fun to be a part of on the
Gosh,
weekend.
the
So.
lobbies were
Yeah. Oh my
just,
gosh.
like-
Every campus had something different going on. I know
Yes.
here we had some inflatables. There were some snacks and candy and hot
dogs
dogs
at 9 a.m.
Yeah, hot dogs at 9 o'clock in the morning.
Which
Nothing better.
Everybody was it was not
Which was
like
hilarious.
crazy.
I was walking around the lobby eating a hot dog saying, 9 a.m. hot dogs, let's go.
Yeah, right.
And
People were eating them.
yeah, we're all doing it, right?
Yeah.
What I thought was funny is the people who were coming in for the next service are like, what are they hadn't, I
Sounds
think
like
just
hot
being a
dogs.
part
Yeah.
of it, you just didn't even think about it. You were like, I don't know what time it is.
I saw a dude that finished one at like 9:30 or whatever. He just goes, I'm gonna regret that.
Yes, you are.
Probably are.
We actually had a family here who was from a different country this weekend, their first time.
Really?
And the two daughters had never had a hot dog before. And the dad ran back to the kids' space to give him a hot dog because he was so excited to give him a hot dog.
That's hilarious.
And they were like, this is the best thing. The one girl didn't know how to eat it. She was eating like a hamburger. It was so cute. It was so funny. But, well, cool. Yeah, lobbies were a lot of fun. I mean,
Yeah.
the service itself was a blast. I had a lot of fun doing the interviews afterwards. I got to make fun of you guys and poke fun at you after. And
Yeah, that was cool.
I got fired 3 times. I know I mentioned earlier. It was a lot of fun.
Wow,
I
that's a new
I know.
record.
I
did-
would have fired you if I had that power.
You don't have that power, Andy. Yeah, you can't.
Actually, you're fired
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Like,
Oh, cool.
yeah.
No longer your host. Well, it's been great hosting the Living It Out podcast. No, it was a lot of fun. It was a great weekend, Super Bowl, all that kind of stuff. But let's dive into a little bit. I think Ben came up at the end and talked about why do we do this? Why do we do a preach off? Why do we have fun in church? Because you're not supposed to have fun in church. You're supposed to sit in your pew, listen, maybe learn something, and then go to brunch with your family afterwards, right? That's what church is about. But why do we do this? This is different. This is weird. How come?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think really his unpack of that 2 Timothy verse really helped us to recognize, one, like you said, that that it is okay to have fun. It is okay for us to get together and laugh and enjoy. I think in a lot of ways it is sort of demonstrating giftings.
Sure.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
you know, what it takes sometimes to put those kind of things together. But I think as he walked through 2 Timothy, it was really that reminder of why we're in a position to really see all of God's story put together, and as he unpacked it, what that can mean for us in our day to day. So I think that was, again, for me, even in listening to you guys teach, it was like there was still a point that really always kind of went, oh yeah, like either it convicted me or it was like, wow, they did that in less than 5 minutes. But it really does go to show you the power of God's word, I think, too.
Agreed.
So so he unpacked those 4 pieces of the verse. And which I thought were great. So 2 Timothy reads, all scripture is God-breathed and is useful for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness, which is a big
powerful
word.
all those words. Those are some buzzwords, right? Those are words that typically, we were talking a little bit off screen, off camera, off mic here, that those words often can be even taken out of some context. And they can be used as words that people are like, all you Christians do is tell me the things I shouldn't be doing. But Ben gave an interesting, a helpful perspective on that. And Andy, would you mind sharing a little bit? You know, we were talking about this a second ago.
So first, I think the reason why we do stuff like this, Mara, I think what you said, I agree 100%. I think too, because not only is church supposed to be fun, I don't think I would enjoy, like, you got to see my personality, and that's my personality, and I think that there's a lot of people that wouldn't do that, but they enjoy laughing.
100%.
They enjoy laughing. So a lot of times, like, there's people that would never go to church. I know there's several people that went to our Oregon campus that would never go to church, but they were like, this sounds interesting, and they went and showed up, and they got to experience something different and fun. And not that just something being different and fun is the goal, but to look at it and say, like, so church, if we always say that church isn't just something you do on a Sunday, then why wouldn't church reflect something a little bit different than what a typical Sunday would look like, right? So like, if you go to church, why would your life outside of church look different than what it looks like inside of church? It's why our groups are so cool, because you can do stuff that you enjoy, and then actually contextualize it within the framework of the Bible or what, and
faith,
and faith. And so you got to see a little bit of like our personality. I have the same amount of fun I was having on stage with Ben and with Josh and the rest of us. Like, we all have fun. And if you didn't, I mean, it'd be kind of a miserable life if you didn't get to have fun, especially when you're talking about God's word. It's not just serious and His word. It's also it's
life, right? It's experience, it's a journey. Absolutely. Cool.
So I think those are it kind of ties to, like you said, like, it's one thing for us to really sit and think about teaching and rebuking and correcting, and yet the reality is that it's all in relationship that those things happen, and you're watching. We're on the journey as much as we're all on it together. And so I think that's what is kind of fun about it too. So can you talk a little bit about that, rebuking and correcting? I think that especially of those 2 words.
I think Ben said that rebuking, that word in the context, is like shining light on something that's not correct. So like the teaching would be talking about the truth, pointing people to the truth of God, who God is and who He says you are. Rebuking in this sense would be like shining a light on what's not true. And I think, like you had mentioned, taking things out of context, that's what we do, is we take those words and we apply them somewhere else. So we might think that I can take the Bible and find a part in it that says that what you're doing is wrong. And I'm going to show you this and go like, and also remember in 2 Timothy it says this is what this is for. And I think in the right context, yes, of course. So if Casey and I are close, or Martin and I are close, and I notice a pattern, or you guys notice a pattern in my life that doesn't fit with what a godly man should do or a godly woman should do, then as friends, in the context of relationship, we have the call in other parts of Scripture, it tells us to do this, to go to that person and say, hey, here's something I'm noticing.
Because that's helpful.
Because I love
that.
You,
actually
and I
does
help.
Something, right? That actually makes a difference.
Exactly. And you have that permission from that person because you're in relationship with them. Right? Imagine if you're married and you can't tell your spouse when he or she upsets you, because if you do, that's not a healthy relationship.
Sure.
But the other side of it is this: we don't have the obligation to go point out to other people and say, like, hey, you that I don't know, look at what the Bible says about what you're doing. Instead, if that person is following Jesus, if you haven't experienced this, then I think there's an issue. If that person's following Jesus when they open up the pages of Scripture, if we believe it's inspired, which I do, it's gonna push on the most sensitive parts of them when they read certain. They don't need me
No.
To go, hey, you see right here, that's what it says. You're sinning. No, God is going to point out those things. He's done it to me. I know He's done it to all of us.
Yeah. At the very least, it would encourage us to be in community with people too,
100%.
that are helping us navigate those things that we're like, I don't know what that looks like, what that means, and that's a great point, Andy. That's a great point.
Yeah.
Well explained. I think that's super helpful. Another thing that I get out of this weekend every year, and I said it last year, every year, we've done it for 2 years.
Yeah.
But these past 2 years, every year, right? Is when you're reading the Bible, when you understand it, yes, there's a lot of pressure on you guys to like come up with a message quickly, but some of those things, those principles, those truths about who Jesus are, not that it's easy to come up with the bottom line, but like those things are things that we're hearing so often and so frequently, and we're listening to, and we're talking about, we're having conversations with people. Like those are almost a part of who we are. So when we say a bottom line, like draw close to God and He'll draw close to you, it's like we believe that. Like we really believe that, and we're living that out. And not that we're not failing in it sometimes. It's just that I think when you're meditating on it and studying it, and what that shows, I think, our listeners and our guests, is that the Bible doesn't have to be this big intimidating book with this complexities that you're never going to understand, when in reality it's, you said it earlier, the whole thing's about Jesus. And there's some really awesome principles of wisdom that are going to help us out in the midst of that, and true things that are true about God, things that are true about us. It's so true. So all together, I think a really, really fun weekend, a helpful weekend too, cool weekend, like you said, Andy, to invite some people who don't come to church. We met a ton of new people this weekend.
I agree.
So I know we're a year away, but I would just encourage you, people listening right now, if you know somebody who has been on your heart, maybe they're in your top 5 people you want to invite to church, the Preach-Off is a great weekend to invite. It's a great weekend. It really is. It's not intimidating. It's kind of fun. You'll get a laugh out of it, and it's a cool experience. Any other thoughts from you guys just on the Preach-Off? Maybe favorite part, favorite moment? Andy, you had a story that stood out to you. I know you mentioned your ostrich story. There's anything else that kind of strikes your chord right now before we wrap things up?
I mean, it was so much fun working with Barb and Ben and Josh and
and the whole production team behind.
Seriously, so many little pieces, right?
Yeah, there's a lot, and the people who put together all the selection of verses, especially except for like Galatians 6:11, whoever decided to do that, Hootie. I have a bone to pick with you. Anyway, but like the whole thing, it takes a lot. Our graphics department, video department, that put together like just an immense amount.
We can wing it.
Yeah, right, exactly. So all I had to do was show up and wing it. Like
they do all the intentional hard work so that we get to show up and wing it.
What have you been doing to prepare for this? Prayer and fasting? Like I don't know.
Yeah, we just totally did the prayer and fasting.
They're like, so it was a fun weekend. I don't think you have to wait until next year.
No, not at all. Not at all.
I think that we're not going to do something like this necessarily every weekend, but our environments can be fun like this.
Absolutely.
We might not be serving hot dogs, and if you feel like at your campus it's not where you think it should be fun-wise, then you got to bring that fun.
Absolutely.
Be that person in the lobby.
That's a great point,
Like
Andy.
have fun with people.
Great point.
One thing that student ministries did a really good job of when I was in it and got to observe is a couple guys will go in the lobby and throw a football around. If they saw a high school age student, they throw a football.
Bring the fun.
Bring the fun, and I think that people love fun.
Ownership,
and they'll want to come back and get engaged.
I love it.
And that's another thing with our groups. That's why our groups are so freaking cool.
We could do a whole podcast on everything we just said. That's
I could keep going,
That's so
good. That's the groups
agree.
thing too. You have so many people that could join a group that won't go to church.
Yeah.
But if they could sit around the table with a group of guys or girls or whatever, or go fishing, or
you're hearing Andy's heartbeat right now is that word adventure. I mean, like we believe life is an adventure, and it's meant to be fun. It's not meant to be boring, and we think church should be that too. That's cool.
100%.
Thanks, Andy. Marno, what about you? Anything that stood out, or just kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I think again, what is really fun to see is that even as Ben wrapped up that message and talked about all of us being equipped, and the reality is, as you just talked about it, I can't make a difference in the people's lives that you can. We have different personalities and different giftings and different people that we're meant to reach. And I think that collective of all of us working together and recognizing that the Preach-Off isn't ours, this is our church.
Yes.
And this is something that I talked about even with the marriage event dream team, is just this is ours.
Totally.
And so that's the part that gets me excited, is I think, like you talked about, the more people that go, hey, this is our church. These are the people that God is putting in my life to invite to, or to have coffee with, or I mean all of that we all have this mission in front of us. So man, 100% agree. I really do think we could do a whole podcast on that, because it's that ownership that makes a difference. When people at the campus start to own those pieces, you feel it, man. You feel it, because it's not just the 4, 5, 6 staff members you have at your campus doing that. It's And we're
all
seeing
of
that
us.
in so many
Yeah,
ways.
we are, and it's so cool,
So
especially
thank
this
you
weekend.
to everybody who
Absolutely,
is.
yeah. I don't want to feel like you have to, but we are. We are doing this, right? It's so cool, so cool. Well, a couple things for us real quick as we kind of outro out. First is the marriage event is coming up, February 21st. I know, Marnie, your team's really excited about that.
Now,
I know,
all
it
of a
is
sudden,
February.
I'm like, oh my gosh,
I keep saying,
so.
in conversation, like, yeah, it started January. No, it's
No,
not.
it's
it's
February,
February.
Andy. 2020,
Yeah.
man. Come on.
Yeah, we're going
Clear
to be
vision.
just a couple weeks away from the marriage event. It's Friday, February 21st, and I am seeing registrations up.
Cool, so
thank
get signed
you.
up. Get signed up.
Thank
if you
you
haven't
so
yet.
much if you've registered. The next price break, easy for me to say, the next price break is Valentine's Day.
There you go.
So I don't mean to be obvious here, but
Good gift,
it seems like it would be
husbands or
a
wives.
good gift.
It's a great gift. It's a
You
good
know,
gift.
if you're thinking about getting married, if you're engaged, if you've been married for a long time, Dr. Les Parrott is going to speak to all stages of relationship.
Cool.
He is a marriage expert.
Yeah,
so
he's great.
Yep. So check it out, cedarcreek.tv/marriage event.
Sweet. Thank you so much,
Yep.
Marna. And then next week, we start a brand new series called The Knots,
The
where we'll be
Knots.
talking a little bit about relationships and marriage and all those fun
Yes.
things. Because we know we're all in relationships, even if we're not married, right? We're
That's
in
right.
relationship, we're doing life with people. And so,
Yeah.
what does it look like to navigate those, even in tough seasons? So,
Yeah.
well, cool, guys. Thanks so much. And last thing we want to give you an announcement for those of you that are a part of one of our dream teams at any of our campuses, we have a dream team celebration. We do 2 of these a year. We do a launch in the fall
Yep.
and a celebration in the spring, just to kind of mark 2 moments in the calendar year saying, hey, let's go. The school year is going to be a blast. Let's serve the best we can. Let's put our best foot forward to make a difference. And at the end of the year, looking back and going, man, look at all the things that God did through us. It's so cool.
Yep.
And so that celebration is going to be coming up here shortly in March.
Yep.
Your dream team leader, your staff members should be communicating that with you. If you have questions about it, feel free to reach out. You can
Yep.
RSVP at cedarcreek.tv/
RSVP. So let us know
Easy
you're
as
coming,
that.
dream team.
And if you're not a
We
part of a
wanna
dream
celebrate you.
team, we'd love to have you on a
Yes.
dream team. Go to Growth Track, talk to your campus pastor,
Yes.
someone at your team, at your campus.
Yes.
And they'd love to help you figure that out.
Yep.
Well, Andy, Marna, thanks so much for being on here, guys. We hope you were reminded that you matter, and hope that we gave you some practical ways to live that out throughout the week. See you guys next week.